There is a version of you that you have never let anyone meet. It lives in the pause before you answer, in the thought you delete before you speak it. You have spent your whole life keeping it quiet. Carl Jung spent his whole life trying to warn you what happens when you do. Jung called it the shadow. Not evil, not a demon, but everything about yourself you decided was unacceptable and buried alive. The cruelty you pretend you don't have. The envy, the rage, the hunger that doesn't fit the person you want to be. You didn't kill these things. You only hid them. It begins in childhood, before you can remember. Someone frowned when you were loud, so you learned to be small. Someone punished your anger, so you swallowed it. Piece by piece, you built a self that would be loved. And everything left over, everything unwelcome, you pushed into the dark behind you. Jung had a word for the mask you built instead, the persona. The face you wear to work, the voice you use on the phone, the calm you perform when you are breaking. The persona is useful. But the more perfect it becomes, the larger the shadow grows behind it, waiting. Here is the warning. What you refuse to look at does not disappear. It does not sit patiently in the basement. It grows in the dark, and it finds a way out. Jung said it plainly, the thing you will not face inside yourself, you will meet in the world as fate. The way out is usually other people. Think of the last person who filled you with sudden, disproportionate disgust. Not mild dislike, but a heat that surprised you. Jung would ask a strange question. What did they show you about yourself that you have been running from? This is projection. When you cannot own a trait, your mind hangs it on someone else. The arrogance you can't admit becomes the arrogance you can't stand in your colleague. The neediness you deny becomes unbearable in your friend. You think you are describing them. You are describing the parts of you kept out of sight. Notice the tell. Ordinary judgment is quiet. Shadow projection burns. When your reaction is louder than the situation deserves, when you can't stop thinking about someone's flaw, you have found a mirror. That heat is not information about them. It is a map to something buried in you. Let me tell you about a man Jung might have recognized. Call him Thomas. Kind, patient, the one everyone leaned on. He never raised his voice, and he was proud of it. He would tell you he simply wasn't an angry person. He had built his entire identity on that single word, never. But Thomas had a strange affliction. He was consumed by the anger of others. His brother's temper enraged him. Loud men in traffic ruined his week. He wrote long messages about how disgusting rage was, how weak. He couldn't understand why the topic followed him everywhere he went. Then his body began to speak what his mouth would not. Clenched jaw. A stomach that nodded for no reason. Dreams of houses on fire that he could not put out. The anger he had never once expressed had not gone anywhere. It had simply stopped asking his permission. This is the deepest part of Jung's warning. What you deny does not weaken. It gains power, precisely because it is unwatched. An emotion you refuse to feel doesn't leave. It goes underground and pulls the strings, choosing your reactions, your illnesses, your obsessions, while you insist you are in control. Now scale it up. Jung watched this happen to a whole nation. He watched millions of ordinary, decent people, each certain they were good, each projecting their own darkness onto a chosen enemy. The evil was always out there, never within. And that shared blindness became a catastrophe the world had never seen. He wrote that the greatest danger to humanity is not the atom or the flood. It is man himself, because we have no adequate defense against psychic epidemics. A lie repeated by millions still feels like truth. The shadow of a crowd is the most destructive force on earth, and it always calls itself righteous. The most dangerous person is not the one who knows they are capable of cruelty. It is the one convinced they are only ever good. Certainty of your own innocence is not safety. It is a blindfold. It means your shadow is operating completely unseen, free to act in your name. So Jung offered a different path, and it was not exorcism. You do not defeat the shadow. You cannot cut it out without cutting out your own life force. Because hidden in that dark are not only your sins, but your buried gold, the strength, the desire, the wild honesty you were taught to abandon, the child who was told he was too much locked away his boldness. The girl punished for wanting hid her ambition. Decades later they wonder why they feel half alive, unable to say what they want. Their vitality wasn't destroyed. It was exiled, waiting in the same dark as their shame. Jung called the lifelong work of reclaiming these pieces individuation. Becoming whole rather than good. Not the polished, half-person of the persona, but the full human being, light and dark integrated into one. It is the most difficult thing a person can do. It is also the only thing that sets you free. How do you begin? You start with the people you cannot stand. Make a list of them. Write down exactly what disgusts you. He's so arrogant, she's so needy, they're so fake. Then read your list again, slowly, and ask the question you don't want to ask. Where do I do this to? It will sting. That sting is the whole point. When a criticism of someone else lands in your own chest, you have caught your shadow in the act. Don't flinch away. Stay with the discomfort for one more breath than feels comfortable. That breath is where the buried peace comes home. Watch your dreams too. Jung believed the shadow often appears as a figure of your own sex, a stranger, a pursuer, someone dark and threatening chasing you through the night. Most people run. But turn around in the dream, or in the memory of it, and ask what it wants. It is almost never what you feared. Watch your slips too. The cruel joke that flew out before you could stop it. The sabotage you didn't plan. The version of you that appears when you are exhausted, or drunk, or pushed too far. That is not a stranger. That is the tenant in the basement, briefly stepping into the light. Integration does not mean acting on every dark impulse. That is the misunderstanding that frightens people away. To feel your rage is not to become violent. To know your envy is not to betray your friend. In fact, the opposite is true. What you can consciously feel, you no longer have to blindly act out. Think again of Thomas, the man who was never angry. His healing did not begin when he exploded. It began the day he sat quietly and admitted a single sentence, "I am furious, and I have been for years." Naming it did not make him dangerous. It made him honest. And slowly, his jaw unclenched, because here is what no one tells you about the shadow. Once you stop fighting it, its energy becomes yours. The anger Thomas feared became the backbone he had always lacked. He could finally say no. He could protect what he loved. The thing he had run from all his life turned out to be his missing strength. This is why Jung said he would rather be whole than good. A good person who has never met their darkness is fragile, one bad day from becoming the thing they despise. A whole person has walked through their own basement and knows every face down there. They are far harder to possess, and there is a quieter reward, one that changes how you move through the world. When you have owned your own darkness, you stop needing enemies. You no longer require someone to carry your disowned parts. The people who used to enrage you simply become people. The world grows less frightening because you are no longer at war with yourself. Imagine if more of us did this work. Fewer people needing a villain to feel righteous. Fewer crowds hunting the darkness they refuse to see in themselves. Jung believed the fate of the world truly turns on this private, unglamorous labor, done by one honest person at a time, in the silence of their own room. So tonight, when someone crosses your mind and you feel that familiar heat rise, don't rush to be right. Pause. Ask what they are carrying for you. Ask what part of yourself you have been too afraid to claim. The shadow is not your enemy. It is the sum of everything you were never allowed to be. Jung wrote that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The dark is not the absence of you. It is the missing half of you. And the day you stop looking away, you stop being two people pretending to be one. There is a version of you that you have never let anyone meet. But you can meet it. Not to obey it, not to fear it, but to shake its hand and finally take it home. Everything you buried to be loved is still down there, waiting. And it was never the monster. It was you.